At 21:40 hours, Damascus time, Wagner Group's fourth assault company thought they were hunting isolated Green Berets near the Euphrates oil fields. What they did not know was that those 12 Americans had called in close air support, and two F-22 Raptors were already painting targets from 40,000 feet above. But here is what Wagner's tactical commanders missed in their pre-assault briefing. Those were not just any Green Berets dug in around the Conoco gas plant. Delta Force had rotated in 72 hours earlier as part of Operation Inherent Resolve's Phase 4 escalation. These were operators who had spent the last 18 months perfecting urban warfare tactics in Mosul's industrial sectors. 21:40 hours, local time. Captain Igor Petrov's fourth assault company advanced toward the Conoco gas plant. Wagner's threat assessment, built from briefing slides and a March 15th SVR satellite pass, showed only a light American picket, no more than 24 Green Berets, static and lightly entrenched. Vehicle parks sat empty, fortifications looked minimal, and air defense seemed absent. For Wagner's planners, the map promised a vulnerable outpost and a narrow window before U.S. reinforcements could respond. 72 hours earlier, a Delta Force detachment replaced the Green Beret team, rotating in silently and skipping any radio handover. Delta arrived under blackout, using camouflaged vehicles and setting up concealed fire support positions 3 kilometers northeast. Their doctrine, mobility, layered defense, rapid response was shaped in urban battles far from the advisory posture Wagner expected. They brought Javelin missiles, thermal overwatch, and a forward air control post tied directly into coalition strike assets. Wagner's intelligence net, patched together from Motorola radios and Syrian army spotters, missed the Delta rotation entirely. The U.S. 4th Infantry Division's ANMLQ-40 Prophet system had jammed Wagner's frequencies for days, blinding their forward reconnaissance. No new signals, no intercepted chatter, just the fading call signs of a Green Beret team already gone. Inside the command vehicle, Petrov's staff circled the refinery complex on their map, empty warehouses, running generators, and the faint trace of an abandoned U.S. position. Their risk calculation was moderate. Light infantry, no armor, no visible air support from their last drone flyover. The plan called for a mechanized assault, T-55s and BTR-82s at the front, BM-21 grads in support, infantry squads ready to breach. Doctrine dictated hammer and anvil tactics, as rehearsed in Mayadin and Abu Kamal. Unseen, Delta's forward observers had already marked approach lanes with lasers. F-22 Raptors orbited overhead, invisible to Wagner's optics. Kurdish YPG fire teams with AT-4s waited in drainage tunnels, entirely absent from Wagner's intelligence. As the first armored column moved, the gap between Wagner's assumptions and reality widened with every meter. Wagner's battlefield picture was frozen in time, locked to the March 15th satellite pass and filtered through static-choked Motorola radios. Inside Captain Petrov's command vehicle, the intelligence cell laid out the assault plan with a confidence built on stale data. The map showed empty vehicle parks, no sign of air defenses, and a U.S. force capped at 24. The last intercepted American call was days old. No drone feeds, no fresh reconnaissance. The SVR briefing slides circulated that afternoon still listed the Conoco plant as a soft target, lightly held and ripe for a mechanized push. Orders came down, armor forward. The 4th Assault Company's spearhead rolled out, 4 T-55 main battle tanks leading, BTR-82 armored personnel carriers packed with infantry behind, and 2 BM-21 grad launchers positioned to provide covering fire. The radio net carried the call signs of a proxy skirmish, not a state-on-state engagement. SA-18 Strela Manpads teams rode in the 3rd vehicle, tasked with air denial in case of a lone American helicopter. Petrov's staff expected a textbook hammer and anvil assault, with legacy armor breaking through the refinery's outer fence and infantry squads clearing the control building. The doctrine was old, but the plan seemed sound, at least on paper. But every assumption was out of date. The T-55s, built for Cold War battlefields, had no effective counter to modern anti-tank missiles or loitering drones. BTR-82s, armored but lightly protected, would be exposed if the Americans had thermal sights or air support. The BM-21s, designed for massed rocket salvos, were vulnerable to precision strikes if their firing position was spotted. The SA-18s could threaten low-flying aircraft, but against high-altitude jets or stealth platforms, they were little more than a gesture. Wagner's planners bet on Washington's reluctance to escalate. The political calculus was a limited push would not trigger a full-scale U.S. response. The assumption was that American rules of engagement would remain tight, that a show of armor would force a negotiated withdrawal, not a fight. But the intelligence gap was fatal. The Prophet electronic warfare suite had already blinded Wagner's forward scouts, jamming their comms and cutting off last-minute updates. No warning came as the column advanced. No hint of Delta Force's arrival, no sign that every approach lane was already under watch. The order to move was given, and the first T-55 crossed the line of departure, unaware that the battlefield had shifted beneath its tracks. 21:58 hours. The lead T-55 rumbled onto the Euphrates Bridge, headlights off, radios alive with clipped Russian call signs. Then, mid-span, everything went silent. Motorola handsets dropped to static. GPS screens froze, then flickered with false coordinates, shifting the map overlay by hundreds of meters. The Prophet electronic warfare suite, hidden in the American rear, had just triggered a full-spectrum blackout. For Wagner's column, the world shrank to what the tank commander could see through steel slits. Behind the bridge, BTR-82s stacked up, officers pounding on hulls for orders that never came. At 2200 hours, the entire assault net was dead. No updates from the forward recon team, no word from the Syrian spotters, no way to confirm if the refinery perimeter was still unmanned. Every attempt to raise headquarters bounced back with digital noise. Jamming profiles cut across VHF and UHF, slicing the company's network into isolated pockets. On the digital map, a ghost refinery appeared at 22:03 hours. Coordinates were fed by a spoofed signal, placing the Conoco control building a full kilometer south of its true location. Petrov's drivers followed the wrong grid, funneling the column off the main approach and onto a narrow service road lined with burned-out machinery. Deception markers staged by the Americans, fresh tire tracks, running generators, even a flickering warehouse light, pulled Wagner's lead elements toward a pre-selected kill zone. Deception set the stage. Tank crews sweated behind closed hatches, unable to raise their own infantry. In the command BTR, the deputy tried to re-establish the chain. No signal, no air support, no confirmation of friendly flanks. American Joint Terminal Attack Controllers, listening on their own encrypted net, watched the convoy drift deeper into the trap. The perimeter sensors, aligned days earlier during a 6-day Prophet survey, now painted a clear picture for every coalition shooter in the area. Trap narrowed the options. By 22:05 hours, the only certainty for Wagner was isolation. The assault force, once a coordinated hammer, now moved by inertia alone, blind, mute, and channeled by a battlefield they no longer controlled. At 22:09 hours, Kurdish YPG teams emerged from drainage tunnels along the refinery's north wall, launching an AT-4 rocket that slammed into the lead BTR-82. Flames and secondary blasts tore through Wagner's column, scattering infantry who had expected a clear advance. The YPG commander, tied into Delta's air control net, called in coordinates. Delta's Javelin Overwatch, tucked northeast of the plant, locked onto a T-55 idling in the open. The missile's white-hot trail ended in a turret ripped apart, the crew thrown clear, and the rest of the convoy now exposed. Wagner's command vehicle scrambled to regain control, but Prophet jamming kept the net silent. Orders from Petrov's headquarters never reached the front. At 22:11:34, a Hellfire missile streaked down from a drone orbiting out of Incirlik, likely a Turkish Bayraktar TB2, though coalition logs listed only a Predator overhead. The strike vaporized the antenna on the command BTR, killing the deputy commander instantly. Confusion spread. Officers called for a counterattack, but communications were dead. YPG squads pressed from the flanks, firing AT-4s at stalled armor, while Delta's Javelin teams picked off targets from hidden positions. Above, F-22 Raptors held silent watch at 21,000 feet, unseen but ever-present on coalition screens. The airspace was crowded. Predator feeds, Turkish drone telemetry, and American JTACs all feeding the same strike matrix. Wagner spotters misidentified a Predator as a TB2, adding to the chaos. 4 decisions sealed the company's fate. Petrov's push onto the service road, the failure to abort after the first jamming, ignoring the lack of friendly signals, and exposing the command vehicle on the flank. By 2212, Wagner's spearhead was broken. Burning armor blocked the north and east approaches. Survivors abandoned vehicles slipping into darkness. The refinery, once mapped as a soft target, had become a kill box. Tonight at 10:12 p.m. local time, the last Wagner transmission fell silent. Precision air-ground coordination rewrote the rules in Deir ez-Zor, where misread signals now mean annihilation, not warning shots. In the age of multi-domain warfare, a single flawed assumption can erase an entire force before dawn. Drop your take below.